Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back again. Here I am going to show a little Hotlap session with the 911 GTE car around Virginia International Raceway, a track that I am quite fond of, to be fair. I do like it. It's a very difficult track, kind of, I don't know, for me it's a little bit, I don't know, is it similar to Road Atlanta? Probably not, but I do get a few similarities with it in that it's quite dangerous. There are a couple dangerous corners that could either end your race or, like, you know, just give you a good little advantage over everybody else if you have the balls to really commit and attack those corners. But yeah, obviously after the race the other day, again, I'm just coming back in, gonna do a couple of laps, see if I could make a few changes to my setup, see if it makes any sort of like slight improvement or not. I did make a few slight adjustments, but it's pretty much the exact same setup. I'm just sort of like, obviously after doing the race now and watching a few other people do their race, I'm realising I was taking a few corners. Well, I wouldn't say a few corners. I think there was mainly one corner that I could have taken better, carrying a bit more speed through it. Which I'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, what I could say is you've really got to be I mean, you've always got to be smooth when you're driving these sort of, well, when you're driving any sort of cars, you've always got to have smooth inputs. But with this car, you've got to be aggressively smooth in a way. But anyway, I'll let you see a couple of my hot laps now, and then we'll talk about the rest of the stuff in a little bit. Alright then, so yeah, now starting showing you guys my fastest lap. Obviously it goes without saying, try your best to get a good exit so you can make the most of this long straight. This first corner, this is one of the corners that I kind of changed how I attack it. Now I'm actually going down into first gear, whereas in the race I was going into second. Again, second is quite cool and calm, but you can brake a little bit later and go down into first. Here, you know, just sort of like you're kind of throwing the car around, but you need to be a little bit patient when getting on the throttle. This one you have to turn in earlier than what you'd think when it comes up. The corner kind of creeps up on you. You'll be surprised around here, you can keep the throttle down quite early and keep it down completely. It's a weird sort of corner, but it is quite fun when you get the hang of it. Through here, just got to be careful with these curbs. Again, these curbs are almost like they've got super glue on them. You've got to make sure you kind of fight to keep the car straight. This is another corner where I'm now taking it in fifth, whereas in the race I was going down into fourth. So I'm definitely able to carry a little bit more speed through there. This part here, a very slow corner, it's quite difficult because I don't really have any sort of markers ahead of you to sort of like help me in terms of where to turn in. I know where to brake, but in terms of like trying to get the right angle is quite difficult. But you need to do that to get the most out of this long straight. Best overtaking opportunity. Here you can see I made a slight mistake. I went in slightly too fast and I had to go down into second gear. I don't want to go down into first gear. I don't want to go down into first, go down into second. But coming through here, you'll see here when you take this right hander, there's a slight dip in the road. Just before you hit that, you've got to get back on the throttle completely and don't lift off. If you do it slightly too early, you're going to understeer off the track. If you do it a little bit too late, you're not making the most of carrying a lot of that speed through the corner. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's again, really fun track, but that, like I said, that last corner, if you really commit to it and you execute it well, you will like gain quite a lot of time on a lot of the people around you. It's pretty much where I was gaining a lot of time with quite a few people in that race, bar the leader. But yeah, very cool track, very cool track. In terms of my setup, I did make a few changes. Actually, when I came back in here just to see what sort of lap time I could put down, I didn't realise that the last session I was in, I did a few experiments and increased the wing. So when I first tried it here this morning, I was like, wait a minute, the car's understeering way too much, what's happened? So then I go into the setup, I realise that I've changed it from, instead of wing 4, it's gone to wing 5. So I then lower it back to 4, but now I'm having a bit more trouble with the car because now it's turning in way too much than what I'm used to. But then I obviously then realised, because I increased the wing, I then changed one or two different bits and pieces in the setup to counteract the fact that there's going to be understeer. So one of them was that I lowered the anti-roll bar, front anti-roll bar, to give it a little bit better turn in to counteract the understeer. So now that I've lowered the wing again, I need to increase it because there's going to be a little bit too much turning. So I then increased that one click back to normal, and to be fair, the car was acting as normal as what I was used to, especially in the race. But I would say there was one more change that I did that definitely helped keep the car a little bit more calm, and I think would have helped in terms of saving my tyres towards the end, which was I increased the front ride height from 6 to 6.1, and that definitely kind of nullified a lot of the oversteer a little bit more. I mean, there was an acceptable amount of oversteer, but it just tamed that down just that little bit more to make the car a lot more to make it a lot more calm, a lot more easier to drive, and I think it would have saved the tyres as well. So yeah, where am I going now? Okay, yeah, so this is just looking through the times now. In terms of like where I was going, you can see that I'm a 10th down in the second I did a 10th better in the second sector. The first sector is roughly the same. The last sector you can see is roughly the same times, but we know that I messed up on the last lap, so there's definitely another 10th there. So really I could potentially be doing a 40.4, I guess. Yeah, let's say 40.4 is realistic for me and how I attack the track anyway. I'm sure there'll be guys doing 39s, mid to high 39s definitely. But yeah, that's pretty much it really. Again, had a good race, but you know, in terms of like the changes, just a slight little, because obviously towards the end of the race the rear was getting quite quite loose. So I feel like increasing the front ride height, obviously taking away a little bit of grip there, would have obviously added a little bit more grip towards the end, towards the rear of the um, of the car, and then would have, you know, hopefully would have allowed it to not slide as much and cause more heat. So yeah, you never know in the end, but yeah, in the end, I'm quite happy with this setup. I think it's pretty decent. I'll just go through it now with you. I mean, I'd say the quali setup and the race setup is pretty much the same thing, bar the fuel, obviously. So you know, it's it's not too bad. It's not too bad. So yeah, just going through it now. Obviously, you can see here. You also notice ooh, that I have 100% radiator tape as well. At the moment, I just don't see any need to not do it. The guy that I was racing showed me his setup, and he had 100% radiator tape on for the entire race, whereas I only had it on 75. So you know, there's definitely a little bit of time there, maybe a tenth in it, but there's definitely something to be gained. So anyway, this is the race setup again. It's just the exact same thing. I'm sure there'll be a few minor adjustments that you can do to make it a little bit more acceptable when it comes to being in a race, but at the moment I'm pretty comfortable with the way this feels in terms of race trim. So yeah, man. That's about it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully, you know, you guys find the setup useful, and I will catch you guys later.